This is the Average Joe Strongman Show. Hey, everybody, I'm Lee. This is my brother from another mother, Mike.
Hello. This is the Average Joe Strongman Show. We are, thanks. We're doing episode 10 tonight with a triple threat strength athlete, bodybuilder, powerlifter, strongwoman competitor, somebody who has been a top 5 finisher at nationals, at worlds. She's won nationals twice. Can't remember the years. She's one of the best things to come out of Australia since AC/DC, Crocodile Dundee, and Thunder from Down Under. Miss Sue Metcalf. So let's bring her in, Lee.
All right, here we go. There she is. Hello, Sue. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. This is going to be a good one. Let's get this out of the way, just right out of the gate. For anybody who's not cultured enough or worldly enough to figure this out, you are not from here. You are not from America. Where are you from, and what brought you to the U.S., Sue?
Australian national. So born and bred in Australia, 38 years over there. Then I met Tim Kovach.
Big time.
So I effectively moved here for him, but I actually came here on a work visa initially. Found a job with an awesome company that sponsored me over. So lucky enough to be able to live here, now.
Cool.
So yeah.
Great. Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. As much as things are crazy, it's an awesome place to be and live, and so many opportunities.
So Mike brought up in the intro, basically you're a triple threat, bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman. But as I understand it, strongman wasn't your first sport you got into of the three.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background in organized sports, before you got into strongman.
Yeah, so I was that person doing all the sports in school. So probably, you just loved competing and working hard, training. But my in terms of strength sports, I started off in 2006 wanting to compete in figure, actually, at that time, because I was small enough to. And I started looking for a coach, and I fell upon these guys who were training out of Brisbane, Queensland, Damon and Adam Hayhow. And those guys, their theories were, if you want to look a certain way, you've got to be able to perform a certain way. So I was so lucky to walk into some dudes that just made a whole lot of sense and weren't starving their athletes. Their views were, increase your deadlift, bench, and squat, and your performance will improve, and you will have the physique you want from doing that. So, just to give you a bit of an idea, these guys, I think Damon at 94 kilos, 205 was pulling 750.
Wow.
Lean as fuck, like lean, short, like he just had that little deadlifter body, but they were guys that just valued performance. And I guess that's kind of where I started. I did a strength test with them, and I started off with a base that they were like, holy fuck, that's strong. Just walking in and pulling a 240-pound deadlift at maybe I don't know, I was probably 150 pounds back then, but that was they were
open their eyes.
Right? Yeah, it opened their, like, oh shit, you got some potential. So we kind of they forced me into a powerlifting meet at that time. I was like, it was back when, back in the day. It was back when you walk around with a weight belt in the gym for a girl, and everyone would just fucking look at you like it wasn't normal. And I was, probably 30, so maybe have some insecurities about that. So it was a whole lot to kind of overcome insecurities about being a girl lifting heavy in a gym with a weight belt. I mean, that was huge for me. That's one of my biggest memories, is walking into like these little fucking clubs with a weight belt and just feeling so out of place.
Yeah.
That certainly isn't the case now because I don't give a fuck. But back then I did. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I did powerlifting raw. You know, I didn't ever get into equipped stuff. It was just about getting stronger for me. And did really well. I think I set a few national records. Maybe I didn't give a shit about that stuff. I don't really keep track of records because it's more about what I do personally that I really care about. And then at that point, I think I met a couple of guys that were competing in strongman. And they were like, holy shit, maybe you should just come and throw a few stones around. So I went and, you know, and again, like I just transitioned really easily into that because I was athletic and had a strength base. So kind of started playing around with that. And then I think the first time I did nationals here was in 2010 in Reno, Nevada with Naz.
Okay.
You know, pre Strongman Corp and USS.
Yeah.
And got my ass handed to me in a fucking bad way, which was the best thing that could have happened to me because I went back to Australia. I'm like, fuck, I got to work harder. Like that is, I am not like, I mean, when you're in little clubs surrounded by not as strong people who aren't competing in these sports, you can think you're strong and then you go to a show and get fucking destroyed, which is what happened to me.
Well, failures are lessons, right? I mean, you fail or you don't perform like you expect to, and it really opens your eyes and it does motivate you and drives you, you know, to do more and to work harder.
It was the best thing that could have happened. I came back the year after and played second at nationals.
Awesome.
Which was really, I was really proud of that. So, yeah, so that's kind of my background. And then, I mean, strongman, I think, was always more appealing to me because it's more about being athletic. And I love cardio. Like I'm one of those weird fucking people that do fucking
one of the
cardio
few
every day happily, you know, for a fucking hour. You know, I don't.
Sure.
You know, I enjoy it. So strongman and that, you know, having that short bursty endurance kind of fitness is like I love that. So and then, you know, competed at that national world level for 6 years. And 4 years, so 2010 to 2014, and by that point, I'm like, I need a fucking break. Like I am beat. You know, competing at nationals, I would always have a month off because I was so just beat up from the effort we put into it. So I jumped into bodybuilding then. Easiest sport to train for. You know, that was just a diet. It's just a diet.
I mean, you say that and I have to smile because I know a lot. I mean, the discipline required to just adhere to the nutrition requirements to compete in that sport are unbelievable. I don't have the discipline. Look at my belly. Lee's too, for that matter. I mean, it's
a really strong head and, you know, a goal, an end date. Like that for me, you know, having that end date, I can adhere to anything for 12 weeks.
Okay. Well, good. That's a whole other level, though.
Sorry.
So you did that during your break from strongman, is that right?
Yeah, so in 2014 when I moved here, I found a coach for bodybuilding and just took a break for probably maybe 12 months. Actually, I feel like I competed in worlds that year as well. So maybe I did worlds and then jumped into bodybuilding. So yeah, just had a little bit of a break from the beatdown of the strongman training, which I mean the impact on your joints and just DNS.
Beat you down quick, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the word athleticism or athletic, and I think it's one thing we've talked about before on here. You know, no disrespect at all to anybody who power lifts or, you know, lifts heavy, but deadlifting 500 pounds is one thing. Picking up 500 pounds and then having to move with it, you know, on a yoke or with a pair of farmer's handles or, you know, whatever it might be, you're moving with that weight and the extra added, you know, pressure and stress and strain on those joints. You're 100% right.
Yeah, nothing compares to strongman. I by far of the three sports, it's like if I'm prepping for like I go into a competition to win it. I don't fuck around with, I just want to see how I go. None of that bullshit. That's not my style. That's not who I am as a person. I'm either 100% in or 100% out. So when I'm training for nationals, I'm fucking training for nationals. You know, I'm not messing around, and that just, you know, for strongman, that is a beatdown. You know, more so than any bodybuilding show I've done. I mean, certainly you're depleted and hungry at the end of a bodybuilding prep, but you're not like, your body doesn't, I mean, my body's never felt better than in bodybuilding prep, you know. So,
well, you said something earlier I want to go back to in terms of being, the only girl or only woman in the gym, with a weight belt. This is back, 15, 16 years ago, right?
yeah.
I think that's, certainly changed now, right? Looking now at kind of where we are. But I think still, I mean, things like CrossFit we talked about on the phone recently, CrossFit has really helped, I think, invigorate particularly women's interest in barbell training, which it didn't used to always be that way. It was always the misperception that, hey, if I lift with a barbell, if I lift heavy weights, I'm going to bulk up and look like a man.
Yeah.
How would you say, how have you seen that change as far as strongman over the last 10 years or so that you've been doing this, 10, 11 years, as far as, women in particular getting into the sport?
Yeah, I mean, it's attracting more women because it's becoming more acceptable, isn't it? Like, I feel like, the more, Strongman Corp and USS, and you've got Starting Strongman, and all of those sort of organizations promoting the sport. People are interested, and it is, it's something different, and it's probably doesn't require the high level of fitness that competing in CrossFit might, but it's, it's that nice hybrid between being really, really strong and really, really athletic. So yeah, it's absolutely growing, and it is all the people being loud about it and promoting it. And, people, I remember, I think some guys have said to me before that middleweight women's class is what people fucking want to look, not that any other classes, bad, but to look athletic and leanish and, be strong, that's attractive to people. Like, it's becoming more attractive and more normal to people, I think. So yeah, it's growing, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great thing to see too, because I mean, the growth of the sport, even in a relatively short period of time. I mean, I started in 2013, and at my first comp, there was one girl competing, and it was at a dual. They were doing a power. It was Beast of the Bluegrass. Dave McCann put it on, and it was they were doing a powerlifting meet. The Iron Mafia was there doing their powerlifting meet. And then there was a strongman comp, and the girl that was competing was actually competing in both. She was actually leaving the squat rack and coming over and competing in her first event in strongman, going back and forth. And she's just an animal, right? But she was the only one that competed. And then like 3 weeks later, I did Vacchio's first comp, the Cougar, and there was probably 4 women that were competing, and I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, there's at least 4 competing, and now I mean, I've got a show coming up, and I've got almost as many women signed up as I do men. It's just in that shorter period of time, in 8 years, it's just it's blown up not only in numbers of competitions, but the diversity between, and the women are going head to head with the guys. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, it really has. And I think, I don't know, I just think it'll probably continue to grow. And I mean, it's super fun, and I think once women see other women doing it and see that it's kind of acceptable and normal and the equipment's in gyms, people are going to do that. I think that's the other piece that's really important is equipment's more accessible now.
Sure.
When I was doing it, there was like maybe one tiny little gym in the city I was working in that had some of the, had the main things like farmer sandals, a yoke, and stones. I think now gyms are realizing that people love that shit, so they're investing in it.
Kim, Sue, how big was it in Australia? Well, I mean, obviously you started doing strongman there. How big is strongman? Or let me rephrase that: when you started in strongman in Australia, how big of a sport was it there then?
I mean, I was the only girl competing,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I was probably, I'm not blowing my own horn by any means, but I was probably one of 3 women that, 3 or 4 women that were competing at the time, in Australia, and it grew quickly. It's like here, though. I feel like it kind of grew quickly in the scheme of things. But yeah, there were not many of us. I had to travel to compete against other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was small.
Cool. Awesome. So
which is why I did come over here and compete in Dion's Nationals. I think I asked her and she said, yeah, whatever. She probably knew I was going to get my ass kicked, but Yeah,
more opportunity.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah, come
Come on
on,
over,
whatever.
man.
Stupid little Aussie. So that's probably why she was okay with me jumping in and not qualifying and that sort of thing at that time.
Sure.
So,
So Sue, do you train out of a gym or do you train at home or both?
trainer,
Or?
we got everything at home.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we got a 3-car garage that's not a 3-car garage. It's a 3-car garage gym.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm kind of lucky and fortunate enough to have everything at home and didn't skip a beat with all those lockdowns.
Yeah. Does that make it easier? I mean, balancing work and family and just life, having the gym at home?
I did it anyway. I mean, I would do it if tomorrow me and Tim went bankrupt and didn't have this house and all that stuff, I would find a way to train, because I know just in terms of my mental health and physical health, and it's I need that as a part of my routine and structure. Yeah. So I found a way. Like we moved here 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
So until then we were training in gyms.
Yeah.
So I just prioritize it as part of my day, part of my routine, and I find a way to get to wherever I got to go.
Cool. Awesome. Well, it's about time for intermission, Lee. Let's take a quick 2-minute break.
Okay, we'll be back. 2 minutes. Stand by. Back. So in the past decade or so, the time you've been in strongman, both competing here in the US and internationally, have you seen anything in the sport that you see has any significant changes in the sport that you've seen, positive or negative?
Just the growth, the growth in the sport. I think with more people involved, there's always more voices and more noise. So it's got pretty noisy over the last few years. I feel like though we've got, Dion, thankfully Dion and Willie have both stayed involved, and those two I think really care about the sport and keeping it rolling in a good way and keeping it all positive. So I don't know, just the fact that they've stayed involved and they're really running the two biggest federations, I think has been awesome. I don't know. So I guess some of the other things that have changed is we're seeing a whole lot more whack events that people like doing in these contests.
Yeah. Right.
Some people love them. I wouldn't choose to do a show with an overhead yoke carry. I think the risk for me. You fucking see it.
Agreed. I like my shoulders just the way they are.
And my back and my hips, like fuck that. My shows are chosen based on the events. I don't give a fuck who's promoting. I don't care if it's NAS or Strongman Corp or USS. I'll do a show if I like the events. You know, there's not enough money. My body is getting fucking old. Even just titles, Willie keeps saying, oh, come and do women's worlds. I don't fucking care about it. Like the amount of money and time and beatdown I'd have to put into that, I'm just not prepared. Like it's always that beatdown versus benefits sort of for me.
What about specifically at the amateur level? Because I mean, I look at I'll watch Strongman Champions League, and I'll see these big crowds, or like Giants Live, right? They got these stadiums, arenas that are maybe not full, with 100,000 people, but you get 5, 10, 15,000 people at a Strongman. That's pretty cool, right? You don't see that here in the U.S. quite as much. Again, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in that regard, on that level, at the amateur level, have you seen anything, as far as changes or differences, or no?
At the amateur level, I don't know. I feel like when Strongman's Champions League and some of those bigger shows, I guess they might run 1 or 2 shows a year. Yeah. So, in terms of, the number of shows, there's less. So maybe that's creating more interest. I think they also have some very big sponsors. Yeah. Real loud voice, really good following on social media. So I think that probably increases people that will go watch. But I think, we're seeing, I don't know, 10, 15 shows a weekend at an amateur level. I don't know, maybe more than that. I don't know how many you guys just rolled through there, but I mean, that probably might, the other thing is, I'm not a snob in the sport, and I think you need to start light, but there's the lighter weights for the people that will come in. I think that will things down a little bit at that level. People want to see people doing big shit, pulling weights and doing things that a regular person in the gym couldn't do. So that's going to attract interest and viewers and audiences. I don't think, people doing a 100-pound log, I'm not fucking interested in that. That's me.
Yeah.
But I get it. You still want to have those shows and you still want to draw people in, but
that's one of the challenges, though, I think, as a promoter. I mean, you've promoted. I mean, Lee and I both promoted. I think for me, at least for the novice folks, right? I do want to make the weights somewhat more accessible so that you're not scaring people away. But then you get to the open classes, right? Middleweight, heavyweight, super heavy. I mean, that needs to be challenging, right?
Absolutely. And nationals, if you're winning a national title, you don't want to do it pressing a 100-pound log. Right. You want to do it knowing that you did some real cool shit that was really fucking hard. When you start watering that down and making things lighter, it's going to attract more people, but is that then Strongman or something else?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm not saying, hey, let's just wipe it all out.
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I get it.
Everyone pressing 150, all these women pressing 150 pounds. But I think that's definitely, as things grow bigger, you're going to want to attract that other end of the spectrum, for people that aren't quite as strong and wanting to grow into it. Yep. I had a very different experience because when I came in, I can say that now, but I guess when I came in, I had that strength base, so I wasn't like trying to catch up to these the weights, trying to pull a certain deadlift. What I have found is if you can build that strength base, and be pulling 450 and squatting really fucking heavy every day, every week, you've already got that base, so you're not playing that catch up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And it's a balancing act. That's kind of the whole point of the novice class, right? There's your entry level class is novice. Get in there, do what you got to do, build your base, build your strength, and then graduate to the open class.
Absolutely.
And most of the people that I see come in, especially women that come in, it's you rarely see a woman come off the street, at least in my experience, that comes off the street and says, okay, well, there's no way I can do that, but I'll try it. It's usually somebody that's got the confidence and the mindset that says, I want to try this and see how I do. And then they build on that from there. So, and kind of spinning off of that, Sue. So, and I know the sport's called Strongman, but as we've been talking about, the women's side of the sport has been growing explosively. Now there's even, when my daughter was competing, one of her dreams was to see, women be able to turn pro. Well, that's now a reality and has been. So, it continues to grow and grow and grow. And it just seems like, with the influx of women now competing, and now even at the pro level, that the numbers that you see in the strength is just, it's mind boggling.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of, you see some of these women that compete, especially, like you said, in the middleweight classes, are just absolutely amazing. The amount of weight they can push.
Yeah.
Right? It's just absolutely, amazing. I mean, you're obviously seeing the same thing on your side, right?
Yeah, it's crazy what these girls are doing. Just girls pulling 600. Yeah, it is mind boggling. And I think I've definitely got to a point personally where I'm like, well, I'm probably not there anymore. And I don't think I really want to be there, because the things you've got to do to be there are way beyond what I would be prepared to do. And some of that has to do with the fact that, this is not my career. I am not in the fitness industry. It does not benefit me in any other way other than personally, like personal achievement. I don't benefit from it, in that way. So you see, I think they had that pro show out. Where was that? Out in Seattle this weekend?
Yeah, just recently,
Yeah, just beasts. Like,
yeah,
that deadlift ladder, I think they went through all the way up to 600, over 600 maybe. It's like, fuck, I think my biggest pull is like 45. I think I've pulled 525 from 18 inches, but fuck, that's it, I feel like my structure doesn't necessarily support much beyond that unless I was prepared to do some really extreme things, which I'm fucking not.
Yeah. So along those same lines, I'm sure that over the years, I've had people say things to me like, "Oh, I can't believe you do that stuff," or "I could never do that," which my comeback goes, "Well, do you want to?" Right? From both men and women, right? Have you gotten those types of comments? And what's your typical response when you hear people say that to you?
I gotta be honest, like I don't really talk about. I mean, at work, I don't really talk about what I do that much.
No.
And I kind of feel like I'm a little unapproachable. I get a few like messages on Instagram. "Oh, you're really strong," but my I don't know. I feel like when you're around really strong people and you're seeing these women pull 600, like your reference point for strong is totally fucking distorted. Like maybe compared to a regular gym goer, I am maybe.
Sure.
I don't fucking care about that too. So and my coach, so I've got Susan Salazar doing my programming. She's a elite powerlifter, IFBB pro. Like 150 pounds deadlifting 550. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fucking beast. So my reference point for strength is not there, and I just kind of shrug it off. I don't.
Fair enough. I'm
beyond the ego piece of it. I didn't do it for accolades or titles or compliments. I don't give a fuck about that.
And that's pretty much that seems to be the consensus across the board. I mean, 95% of the people that are in this sport, whether it be at the amateur level or at the pro level, are not making a living doing this. Mike and I talked about this the other day, right? It's a hobby, right? You're doing this for yourself. Yeah. And Sue, you're absolutely right. The reference level for most people, is very skewed based on what we consider strong and what the average human considers strong. So, it's very skewed and it's very an off reference. But
and to that point, I think, sorry to interrupt you, I think the three of us, if you pull 500 pounds, for example, right? If we've done that, we know what it feels like. For someone who hasn't, they just hear that number and think, "Holy shit, that's heavy." Right? Yeah. But it could be 300, it could be 400. Again, for the average gym goer, there is no point of reference, right? So it is different.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's even skewed even in the last few years, right? I mean, I can remember when I got back in the sport back in 13, a 300-pound log press for a guy was a monster press, right?
Not anymore.
And not anymore. If you're not hitting 300 as a lightweight or a middleweight, you're not even at par yet, right? So the numbers are just continuing to escalate, as the sport continues to grow. But So
it does make you think when it's gonna fucking top out. Like
Yeah.
when does
it
end, right?
People's
Yeah,
spines
like,
start
when-
snapping.
Well,
right.
look,
Because I do, yeah. I do
mean,
feel like I do feel like, and I've seen it happen with a couple of girls. I'm not going to mention names, but I know they are very, very broken. They're doing ridiculous things, you know, pulling 500 plus deadlifts at 180. You know, they're fucking broken. As fuck. Like they are fucking broken, and their time is definitely, their days are numbered in the sport.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely that piece of it. I don't think we hear a lot about how much pain people are in. You know, I don't think
it's not fun to talk about.
No, it's not fun to talk about, and who gives a fuck? Like, you feel like you're complaining, but you know, most weeks I'm in a whole lot of, I got neck shit going on and lower back, and I think we've all probably got that, but we don't talk about it. You know,
well, you sit around with a bunch of Masters athletes, men or women. It's like it's a laundry list of who's got what ailment. You know, elbow, shoulder, knee, neck, back, ankle. You know, I mean,
who's got the most fucking neoprene and fucking knee, wrist, you know, elbow, whatever.
Pass the Aleve and the Equiblock, please. Thank you.
That's right.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, after my first year in the sport, I already determined that, hey, you know, I'm fine with being in a wheelchair in my 70s. I'm good with that, right? Because I'm gonna have fun now. I'm gonna do what I can do now, and somebody can push me around a wheelchair in my 70s. I'm absolutely cool with that, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm
all right. So here's the big question. So if you could go back in time and start over in your journey as strongman, is there anything you would have done different?
Strongman, probably start earlier. I mean, I didn't really get into it into my 30s. Like, if I could have started in my 20s, maybe. But you know what? My goal in strongman was to win a national title, and I've done it. So you know, I've done everything I really want to do in the sport. Anything else from here is just going to be fun stuff. And you know, I choose my contest now based on the trophies and the trophies, because I know there's no fucking money. I'm not looking for money.
Right.
Whatever, I'll earn that through my work.
Cool trophy, cool T-shirt, maybe some nice sponsored prizes or whatever.
Yeah, there's a couple of shows that hand out. I'll give out equipment prizes. I'll do them. Same with bodybuilding. It's like, who is going to have the biggest prize? Where can I get a crown? All of that sort of shit. That's how I decide now. Like, that's my decision point. And, you know, maybe I know. Probably early on, I feel like I was less flexible with my training and probably prioritized it way too much over family and life. I wish I hadn't have done that. I would have. No, I lie. I don't have any regrets, but I probably would change that if I had my time over again. I think I've got way better balance now. I'm very thoughtful with when I'm in prep and when I'm not. And I move my training around. I will move my days if I need to. I'll not do an accessory day if I'm feeling too beat. So just little pieces like that, being more thoughtful about resting and sleep and, you know, nutrition as well.
Yeah. Well, this may play into this. We'll do one last question here. What is the best piece of advice you could give to somebody who's just starting out in the sport?
Just starting out in sport, do contests you love. Don't do contests because somebody's telling you should, and don't feel like just because you qualify for nationals you should go. You know, just have fun. Like, do shows you want to do, and build a base. You know, focus on. You know, I know we're not powerlifting, but to have a really strong strength base, so deadlift, squat, bench, is gonna you will never have bad outcomes from that. You know, that is literally the best thing you can do. Maybe don't focus on the events as much as strength. You know, and then have fun with the events, and then you know when you
always have fun.
Yeah, when you've got a show planned, you know, of course you're going to do the events, but outside of that, get strong.
Well, you kind of made a face when you made the comment about just because you qualify for nationals, don't go. So I want to dig into that before we let you go. And I think
that's a big one.
I know, but you've got a unique perspective on this, Sue, because you and Tim promoted nationals this year, right? So can you dig a little bit into why you said that? Like, what's the rationale behind that? Give some advice maybe to people, you know.
Look, and it's a whole lot bigger. And this is just my opinion. I believe that the way Strongman Corp do their qualifications, which is through show level, so they've got. I believe they've still got the Platinum Plus shows that would qualify you for nationals. I think that is fucking great. That is saying that you've done this show, you've placed top 3 in a really heavy show that is really close to what you're going to be doing at nationals. So you've really qualified and you're there. You know, people, and it was great for me and Tim, people jumping in and zeroing every event. That's money in our fucking pocket.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, but listen, how fun is it for someone to go to a national championship and 0 or 1 rep something, out of, maybe it's 1 event, maybe it's 2 or 3 events. I mean, to me, that's not fun.
Not for me. I like to win.
Yeah.
I go to win. I mean, it depends. I mean, everyone's different. So I get it. You want to go and be a part of something big. But I mean, as a competitor, like I'm a competitor. I compete to win. So if I'm going to do a nationals, I'm going to nationals to fucking win that show. I'm not going to place. And actually, I lie. I mean, maybe a couple of times I think in bodybuilding, I've gone in and gone, if I place fucking top 5, I'll be super happy. You know, but I don't know. You're going to achieve something big, and if you know you're going to 0 more than half the events, why the fuck are you there? Really?
Good point.
Hey, really, the only value added you get from something like that is just to, like you said, Sue, it's the experience, right? Experience what nationals is like. So, but I mean, other than that, that's the value added. If you, like you said, if you're going to go and 0 all 5 events, unless you're going to just have fun and meet people,
You know what? And you can do that sitting in the fucking audience.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's true.
Go and fucking volunteer. Go and help. We all need helpers, Fuck. Yeah. I don't know. I think there are some very irresponsible coaches out there, but that's another fucking rabbit hole.
We could do a whole podcast about that.
Yeah, we've been down that rabbit hole a few times on a few of these podcasts.
But hey, you do need good volunteers for nationals. You had some good ones this year. I'm just saying. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time, Sue. This has been awesome. Really appreciate you being on the show with us. Anything, Lee, you want to add or ask before we sign off here?
Yeah, we could keep going for hours on this stuff. We can keep going for hours on this stuff.
Yeah.
But, it just means we got to have you back, Sue. So look forward to that
I
as
appreciate
well.
it. Maybe I was talking to Chad Coy. We were saying maybe we could come on together next time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had Chad. Did you watch Chad Ups? Oh my gosh. Yeah,
his was great.
His was great.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a good dude.
Yeah, that would be perfect. That would actually be epic. We need to set that up.
Yeah,
for sure. We absolutely need to set that up for sure.
Would love that.
All right,
well, thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you
a great night.
Thank you for talking with me.
Thanks, Sue.
Take care. See you guys.
Okay.